Former Governor Jesse Ventura is on the phone with us. Governor, thanks for coming on. How are you?
Hi, John. I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Now, before we get into the meat of your book, and there's no question there's red meat in there, I just want to straighten out this little matter of your current living arrangements. Did I hear correctly the other day you're living down in Baja California, around Ensenada or one of those places?
Not hardly. I live 850 miles south of there.
Oh.
I live way down in the Baja. And, I live with those scary brown-skinned people that seem to be frightening America so much today that we're going to build walls and fences and turn America into East Berlin to keep them out of here.
Well, when they're there with you, the people aren't afraid of them. It's when they're coming up here with us that people seem to get afraid of them.
But why are they afraid of them?
Well, the story I get, and I'm not one of those who'd be afraid, by the way, but the story I get from a lot of people who call, and quite seriously, is they feel that they're undercutting their ability to make a living here, and by working cheap. And
really, so you blame them? How about blaming the people who are hiring them?
But if you did, and you effectively, cut that off, and there's a lot of people who recommend that, it would still have the effect of they wouldn't be able to come here.
Well, the point is they come here for only economic gain.
Yes.
And if you truly want to stop them, then you have to get hard on the demand side, not the supply side. It's just like the war on drugs. We fight it on the supply side, so we fail miserably. But if you fought it on the demand side, you would be successful. Well, if you want to stop illegal immigration, then you have to get hard on the people who hire them and stop them from hiring them. If that happens, they won't come anymore. But now, having said that, on the flip side of that is, are you prepared to pay twice as much for your food? Because when you stop the illegal immigrant from coming up here, then you're going to send me out into the field to pick the food, and I'm going to charge you $200 an hour.
Yeah, I know. It's going to be an expensive head of lettuce, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And so, people need to not have a knee-jerk reaction here. They need to weigh both sides of the pros and cons. And I always feel this way. I saw a sign that was very interesting dealing with illegal immigration when the protests were going on, and the sign said the Pilgrims didn't have visas.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, and what did they do? They came in here, they killed the Native Americans, stole the land, and now we're going to require you to have paperwork to be here?
Well, I mean, the Indians did put up a fight,
Well, true, but they lost.
Well, eventually.
Yeah, well,
by the way,
is that what they fear? The Mexicans are going to come up here and take over our country?
According to Absolute, they have already. Now, by the way, how was your interview with Lou Dobbs?
I've never done one with him.
Oh, why not?
He didn't invite me on.
Think he's scared of you?
I don't know. Maybe he thinks I got such a suntan that I got that brown skin, and he's terrified.
I got to get to your book. What did really happen on September 11th?
I don't know, but all I know is that I have some questions about it, and I find it very interesting that when you ask the questions, you're immediately attacked. Your credibility's attacked. They look at you like, how could you question anything our government would say like that? Well, the reason I have legitimate questions, and my government has lied to me on numerous occasions. They lied to me back when I was a young teenager called the Gulf of Tonkin incident, where they told us that our ships had been fired on by the North Vietnamese as a declaration of war. I joined the Navy and became a Vietnam veteran, and then when I was teaching at Harvard in 2004, Rob McNamara came through, and he's now admitted the Gulf of Tonkin incident never happened.
Yeah, but
wasn't it?
Well, no, I understand. But do you think, honestly, that George Bush and Donald Rumsfeld and Dick Cheney conspired to kill 3,000 Americans so they could go to war in the Middle East?
Well, let me say this. Rumsfeld, Cheney, Jeb Bush, Wolfowitz, and all of them, the cast of characters, they were all part of a think tank back in 1992 on Bush 1, and they were given the project of what will it take to make the United States the sole superpower, right? So they studied it. They went through all this litany of what it would take, and one of the major things they said back in '92 was that in order to be the sole superpower, we had to control Middle Eastern oil. And And they also stated in their summary that to implement everything that they said in this think tank, to implement everything they talked about would take years and years and years. And right there in writing in their summary is unless a Pearl Harbor type of event were to occur.
Well, yeah.
Now that's interesting, isn't it?
No,
now,
it's interesting.
There was a fly in the ointment because, of course, Bill Clinton got elected for 8 years before they could get back into position. I'm not saying they did, but that's pretty circumstantial right there, isn't it?
Well, it is circumstantial, but it also it seems to me just a tad bit of a stretch to accuse these guys of murdering 3,000.
I'm not accusing anyone of nothing.
No,
I'm just asking questions.
But there are implications.
Questions. How do the buildings fall at the rate of gravity? They fell in 10 seconds. If you dropped a billiard ball in a vacuum, it would hit 9.3.
Jesse, I got to have you on again. We're out of time, but will you come on?
Huh?
Will you come on again?
I don't know. If we're out of time already, then it's a pretty short.
Yeah, but
interview.
no, but we have to book you in the beginning of the show. I think you were busy tonight.
Oh, okay. I don't know any of that, but I'd love to again. But I'm heading off to Mexico on Saturday. And
well, we have sat phones.
I won't be back until the middle of May.
Well, consider yourself booked. Jesse Ventura, check out his book, Don't Start the Revolution Without Me.